Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. This is an update for July 22nd. Before I get into the update on what's going on around Ukraine, I just want to give a big shout out. Thank you. We had a single donation of $500 for Action Against Hunger. That's huge. Since May 25th, when I started this campaign for Action Against Hunger, we've raised $3,152. That's amazing. I never would have expected. I thought I would be giving a couple $100 here and there, but $3,152 from you guys. All the donations that you send in to me go straight into Action Against Hunger. So it's super awesome that you guys are doing that. With the food insecurity problems that are coming, even with this Russia-Ukraine deal, there's going to be issues in multiple countries that in Southeast Asia, South America, Africa, and possibly even some of the European nations are going to have food insecurity problems, some of the more poor European nations. So organizations such as Action Against Hunger assist and help out in more than just giving food ways. They provide training, they provide farming assistance and other methods so that we can combat food insecurity, because I fully believe that if you can't eat, if you're hungry, it just makes everything else moot at that point. So that's why I support them. That's why I donate to them personally, and then all of the donations you send to me will go to them as well. So anyways, thank you for that. We'll get on with the update. So speaking of food insecurity, Russian missiles hit Ukraine's southern port of Odessa this morning. This has threatened a deal signed just yesterday by Russia, Turkey, Ukraine, and the UN to unblock grain exports in the Black Sea. This was designed to ease the global food shortages caused by the war. Now, Russia's air attack was carried out exactly where Ukrainian grain is located, in Odessa. And Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said the strike showed that Moscow couldn't be trusted to implement the deal. However, public broadcaster Suspilny, I think I'm saying that right, quoted the Ukrainian military saying that even though the missiles targeted the port, it did not cause damage to the grain storage containers. So their preparations are continuing to have grain exported from that port despite what is going on, which is quite heroic of them to just know that they're under potential fire from Russian missiles and rockets, but to continue to try to get this food out. Now, Ukraine's Deputy Minister of Infrastructure and Russia said on Russia's attack that we will demand fulfillment of terms of an agreement from our partners in Turkey and the UN, and we hope for something more impressive than just stating deep concern, kind of taking a hit out of the international community, who really isn't providing anything other than their kind of hopes and prayers, essentially. So Ukraine's ambassador to Turkey said it is obvious that the agreement with Russia is not even worth the paper it was signed on. Not even 24 hours passed before Russia's commitments to the UN and Turkey came into question. Russia is a terrorist state rather than a state, and I agree with him. But don't worry, the UN has come out. They have unequivocally condemned the strike on the port of Odessa. Not the Russian strike, just the strikes. You wouldn't want to blame Russia, would you, the UN? I don't understand. It's not even a strongly worded letter from the UN. And the UN is just a fucking joke at this point when it comes to trying to not, get Russia into a tizzy. It's ridiculous. At least the U.S. has come out condemning Russia. U.S. Ambassador to Kyiv said that Moscow should be held to account for what she said was an outrageous Russian strike on the port city of Odessa on Saturday and Russia's continued weaponization of food. See, UN, that is how you condemn. That is what you do. You don't bitch out and not even name who did it. But like I said, to the Ukrainians' credit, they continue to make preparations to ship the grain out. So hopefully it can get out. German news agency Welt has reported that Ukraine's application for 11 Iris-T air defense systems is being held up by Germany's Federal Security Council, which is headed by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Now, this comes after Germany's economy minister earlier approved the Ukrainian government's application for the defense systems and had passed it along for a decision with the Federal Security Council. So just, again, Germany kind of holding things up. This isn't to say that Germany isn't providing things. There's some graphics that show that. I'll see if I can find them again and share them with y'all. So Germany is providing stuff. It's just not providing what I would call the fair share of things that other countries are providing. And speaking of jokes like the UN, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said the European Union needs a new strategy on the war in Ukraine as sanctions against Moscow have not worked. First of all, he's wrong. They have completely cut off their ability to build any kind of technologically advanced weaponry. So that has been somewhat of a win for sure. Now, what we're seeing is in their economy, Putin had insulated the Russian economy in the short term. Ongoing sanctions will eventually cripple their economy, period. What Orban is wanting is this war to end so that he can resume friendly talks with Russia. He said the strategy should aim for peace instead of winning the war in a speech he made in Romania. He's basically saying he wants Ukraine to cede what territory Russia has taken. And it must be nice for Orban and Hungary to simultaneously appease Russia to get Russian energy while maintaining the Kevlar snuggie of the US and NATO protecting it. And thanks for Daniel Tosh for that reference. They get the best of both worlds, and it's really frustrating. It seems like at this point, only Ukraine itself, the EU, NATO, majority Slavic and Baltic nations, the US and the UK are serious about keeping Russia out of Ukraine while not starting World War III. Western Europe is becoming increasingly inept and irrelevant in this situation. I can now see why Obama began a drawdown in Germany and started a pivot to the Pacific, and then Trump continued that with a pivot from Germany to Poland within Europe, as well as the Baltics and such. So just Western Europe continues to disappoint. And I know Hungary doesn't really fit in that model, but let's be honest. If Germany and France were to hold Hungary's feet to the fire a little more, perhaps that we wouldn't be seeing Orban groveling to Russia for 700 million additional cubic meters of natural gas. Anyways, yet another example. After pressure from the European Union, Lithuania lifted a ban on rail transports of sanctioned goods to and from Russia's enclave in Kaliningrad on July 22nd. Now, they were facing various objections and things from the EU and eventually had to cede to the EU's oversight. So, again, Lithuania forced to do what the EU wants because the EU doesn't want to upset Russia so much that they're in a worse position. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues to burn. Russian troops are disguising the delivery of weapons and ammunition as humanitarian aid to avoid attacks. When this happens, it usually is followed by a pullout of all humanitarian agencies as they fear attack. This is especially a nefarious tactic because when Ukrainians attack such shipments of weapons disguised as aid, the Russians can say the Ukrainians are attacking the aid itself. And then Russia launched 6 missiles into Mykolaiv, according to their governor. Russia attacked the city with S-300 long-range missiles, and the result of attack was the fire broke out in a warehouse. Now, more importantly, is the S-300 is a surface-to-air missile. It's not designed for ground attacks. Now, it certainly can be used for that because, I mean, let's be honest, all missiles that aren't shot into space come back down to Earth eventually. But the implication is that they're using older surface-to-air missiles in a ground capacity is kind of telling of what Russia has left in its weapons depots. So they seem to be having a lot of depleted capability here. Unfortunately, 2 U.S. citizens who are thought to have been fighting in Ukraine have died in the Donbass. This was reported today, citing the U.S. State Department. So hopefully those families can get taken care of. And then in a briefing on July 22nd, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that the U.S. President Joe Biden is not prepared to provide Ukraine with the ATACMS surface-to-air missiles with a range of 300 kilometers. I posted a video showing their range a couple of videos ago. He said, while providing the necessary resources to defend Ukraine remains a key goal, another goal is to ensure that we do not end up in circumstances where we're heading down a third world war. Now, John Kirby, spokesman for the U.S. National Security Council, said the Pentagon has already started evaluating the possibility of providing Ukraine with fighter jets. But if the decision is made, Ukraine will not receive the planes in the near future because the special training for the pilots is required. And if approved, the Senate's $100 million training program would not start until early next year and would take 6 months. U.S. has announced $270 million in military aid packages for Ukraine, including HIMARS. The package also includes 580 Phoenix Ghost drones and then 36,000 rounds of artillery ammunition. And that's really all that's going on. It seems like the casualties on the Ukrainian side are dropping, which is good, but the war continues, obviously, ongoing. And that's it for today. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.